Hey, what's up? This is Fred and welcome to The Shed. Today I'm going through all the albums from my music career from all the bands I've played in. Before we get started, I want to let you know that our channel has reached uncharted territory. Your boy Fred has a sponsor. The last few years I've been releasing my own music. I release it through distrokid.com. I recommend it to any of the bands that come here to record that want to release their own music, and I would recommend it to you as well. If you're gonna sign up, you want to use a link below. It's distrokid.com/VIP/Fred sent me. If you use that link, you're going to save 7% on whichever plan you choose, and it's going to help me out as well. So thanks for listening to my spiel, but I also hope it's really helpful for you if you're trying to release your own music. There have been several different ways to listen to music over the years, just in my lifetime. My parents bought these vinyl records, which was super cool. Some people are going back to them. They sound great, and I back that. Then came 8 tracks, which I did not mess with. As a kid, I was the cassette generation, and my first band made this, Stickman we were called, and this is a cassette tape. And they didn't sound great, but this is what I grew up on. You had your band would release these like this. This is our second one. I don't know that I have our first one. Just as I was graduating high school, I found out about CDs. I didn't have a player till sometime later, but CDs apparently sounded perfect and were supposed to last forever. They didn't last forever. They still sound pretty good. You will probably have to explain to your grandchildren what this is. Next came digital music. I have 3 crates of vinyl records in the corner, but on my phone I have every album that's ever come out in history. It's pretty amazing, and I'm still not convinced we've reached the final frontier. I imagine there will be a day when someone downloads albums onto the hard drive in their brain. I'm not going to be caught dead doing it, but I'm sure that day will come. So I'm going to take you back to the band that I was in college called Brody. And we released a 7-inch record called Against Forgetting. It was kind of past the era of vinyl, but all the punks released their records on vinyl because it was actually cheap at the time. There's 2 great songs on this called Against Forgetting and Teaspoon, as well as a cover of Don Henley's Boys of Summer. This was years before the Ataris, by the way. I always wanted to ask them if they heard our version. I never got the chance to ask them. Brody also released a CD. It was 8 songs called Worth Dying For. It's really good songs. You can find this stuff mostly on YouTube, but I gotta warn you, it was the mid-90s. The budget wasn't there. Some of these were recorded in our friends' basements. They sound all right, but just keep that in mind. As soon as Brody ended, I started breaking Pangaea with Will Noon and Clint Stelfox. Pretty soon after that, we recorded Take Apart the Words. I love this record. Again, we recorded it in a hurry, but the songs on it, I think, are really amazing. My favorite is probably Under the Talking, but the most notable song would be Lullaby, which I redid years later on the Terrible Things full length. Breaking Pangaea then released Canon to a Whisper, which was our full length, and there was a lot of effort put into this. I would put this as emo written on an orchestral level, just because of the way this music was composed. It doesn't sound like 3 rock dudes jamming. This is music that was like thought out for way too long, probably. I really enjoyed it, and if you listen to it, it is truly an experience. The last song on it is 12 minutes long, though, to give you an idea, but it also happens to be one of my favorite things I've ever recorded. Toward the end of Breaking Pangaea, we got signed to Equal Vision Records and released an EP called Phoenix. Phoenix is the first sort of modern recording I got to do. It sounds a lot bigger than any of the recordings I did before this time. When I think about Breaking Pangaea, I still think about the scene, the emo scene that was about to blow up. It was definitely heading in a direction. And Breaking Pangaea, we were not concerned with that trend. We were definitely heading our own way, but all our friends started blowing up. We had a very loyal and amazing fan base, and I am indebted to those people to this day. But ultimately, we got swept up by the other bands. I joined Taking Back Sunday, and Will Noon joined Stray Light Run, and eventually played in the band Fun. So the year after joining Taking Back Sunday, we released our first album, It was in 2004. It was Where You Want to Be, produced by Lou Giordano, who had done the Goo Goo Dolls and Sunny Day Real Estate, among several other bands that I was a fan of. This record felt really good to make. It didn't feel like hard work. It felt like all the hard work I had done up to this point was finally paying off. That's how I felt about it. And I think all the guys enjoyed making this record. It was an amazing time in my life. I was in my late 20s. The band was being courted by all kinds of major labels. I guess the one thing I'm remembering about this album is how amazing it was sounding. And I remember this moment when we brought a string section in to play on two of the songs, A New American Classic and Slow Dance on the Inside. And we were hearing the strings on our music, and it was just like our musical dreams coming true. It was like, oh my God, like we've made it to this point. There's a freaking string section. It was completely new to us, and it felt fresh and wonderful. Next came Louder Now. We were established at this point. We were used to going to LA a lot, and we decided to record out there. We recorded with Eric Valentine. This record did feel like hard work. I think the hard work paid off. I have a hard time picking a favorite song on this record, because today I might tell you it's I'll Let You Live, tomorrow it's Spin, or Brooklyn. I love the things that we were able to do with songs like Miami. So at this point in the band, we sort of had the control to make exactly what we wanted. I'm definitely appreciative of this time. It definitely was the peak for me career-wise. I could put this record on at any time and it still sounds great. While I was still in Taking Back Sunday, I wrote and recorded Bend to Break from The Color Fred. This was a solo record, and it was much needed for me after the crusade of a battle of a mountain that it was to finish Louder Now. Doing it on my own, it was something that my soul yearned for. The songs were just coming out of me, and they were just ready to be recorded. We got Lou Giordano, who did Where You Want to Be, to record this album. The recording experience was a very positive, almost zen-like experience for me. We were up in the woods in upstate New York. It was beautiful outside in the spring. It was freaking perfect, and I think you can hear that when you listen to the album. My favorite song has always been Don't Pretend, but I also think Hate to See You Go is probably the best song I've ever written. The Color Fred Intervention EP was meant to be a record store day release. It's kind of hung around on Spotify for a while. I recorded it in 2 days in the basement of Drexel. I was really sick at the time, and when I listen to it, I can tell. But some of the songs that are sadder kind of take on a new meaning when you hear Sick Fred singing it. So some people like that vibe. I wouldn't mind re-recording some of the songs, and I may do that at some point. Next came Terrible Things, which I recorded with Josh Eppert of Coheed and Cambria and Andy Jackson from Hot Rod Circuit. This was originally my plan of doing a second Color Fred record, but when I got those guys involved, we decided to make it into a band. It was pretty awesome working with those guys. We went down to Alabama to record this with Jason Elgin, who became sort of my mentor for producing and also one of my best friends. Because of several factors, it didn't have the success level that it could have. But from a sound and writing perspective, I put it up at my highest level in the Louder Now league. It's just a cool record. The last thing I released was the Terrible Things EP called Pretransmission. It's the first thing I produced myself, and it's also the first time I ever played all the instruments on a record. I played the drums, pianos, guitars, bass, and sang, obviously. This is like my rock era. It has a lot of Zeppelin tones to it. I think it still sounds like me, but a lot of my earlier influences sort of came out on this record. After Terrible Things, I went on to play with Say Anything, the Lemonheads, and then I took a couple years off of music. But the last few years I've been doing the Color Fred again, and I released some new songs this past year. There will be another new album in the near future, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you're an artist that's releasing new music, please consider DistroKid and click the link below to save some money on your membership. I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you.